Okay, so today we're going to learn how to draw a Lewis dot structure. A Lewis dot structure is a diagram demonstrating the number of valence electrons on an element. As we've gone over earlier, a valence electron is the number of the outermost electrons on an element, such that when we look at oxygen in our second period, if we look at your periodic table, we know that oxygen is atomic number 8 in period number 2, and it goes over from lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, and then we land on oxygen. And we notice in this row we have 8 elements, indicating that there are, when we look at neon, that we have a total of 8 possible valence electrons, and oxygen is number 6. So we know that we're going to have 6 out of 8 valence electrons. So when we go to draw oxygen, we draw the letter O, which is the universal symbol for oxygen, and then you're going to have 4 quadrants, um, almost like a north, east, south, and west, around oxygen that can each be filled by 2 electrons. And so we always want to fill each of these quadrants with two electrons, as each can hold 2 electrons, before we fill them with 1. So in our north, we're going to draw 2 little dots to represent 2 electrons, which are akin to lithium and beryllium. And now we're going to go down to our east, and we have another 2 dots, which would fill boron and carbon, and then our south, um, which is now nitrogen and oxygen. And these are all 6 valence electrons. So now that we see that we've counted 6 out of the 8 ways across period number 2, and your Lewis dot structure for oxygen should look something like this. So you may be wondering the purpose of a Lewis dot structure. These are helpful to understanding the electron sharing when we start to go over larger diagrams of compounds and complex compounds. And then we can see how certain electrons are shared between 2 elements. And there are further complexities with electronegativity and other sort of exceptions to these rules that we're going to learn later. But for now, this is the Lewis dot structure of oxygen, and this is the proper diagram to show that we have 6 out of 8 valence electrons for oxygen. So to make sure that we have this concept down pat, we're going to go over our Lewis dot structure for carbon. So I'm going to start just by drawing the letter C, and then I want you to fill out what you think the Lewis dot structure would look like based on what we learned for the Lewis dot structure for oxygen, and then we can compare ours at the end. Okay, all set? Awesome. So your diagram for carbon should look something, over there, just like that. And you should have 4 out of 8 valence electrons in period 2. These electrons, we can go over later, are from both the S subshell and the beginning of the P subshell. And if you have any questions, we can go over that at a later time.